Shut up and sit down.
Minor illnesses like colds are a right pain in the backside.
We'll pretend we're motorcycle riders in some kind of race. We'll make motor sounds as the bicycles roll.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. I need to renegotiate my contract so I can get a cut of that sponsorship cheddar.
It can be very easy to go in feet first after an illness. After all, you've really missed your bike and you're mentally eager and fresh to get stuck in again.
We can take turns super cycling all mine. And we'll fly around the park till it's nearly dark. All my troubles gone while I'm riding on. It's silver and blue.
Being sick is the best excuse to be a bad member of society and get sympathy for it. Any other time, if you were to sleep in till 12 and then stay in bed all day on the computer, people would just think you're really lazy and have no motivation. But if you just say, oh, I was sick, all of a sudden, oh, you poor thing, get better soon. Can I get you anything? Oh, you're such a trooper.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. This is a sick Jake Von During here with Mr. Lance Hepler.
Lance Romance, feeling fantastic. Stay away from me, Jake.
I'm breathing all over you, buddy.
Not in the lab, as a result.
To his left, we have Evan Price.
How's it going, folks? And what's our... We got coffee. We got a lot of drinks, actually, here.
There are
right
a few
now.
drinks
Yeah.
on this table right now.
I've got LaCroix. I'm double fisting LaCroix and Simply Truth seltzer water.
The organic type. Which I don't know. How can that be organic?
Don't ask questions.
I want to ask that question. Kroger, please explain how this
They
is
use
organic.
organic blueberries.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give him that one.
And with us, coming to us over the interwebs, Mr. Matt Legrand.
What's up, guys? I am still not able to drive, which means it'll be a while before I am live with this whole studio crew.
I can come pick you up.
You're
we could do that.
You're at least in a boot now. That's the good news.
Did you put a motor
I'm in
on
a
that
boot.
scooter yet?
Put a lot of miles on the scooter. That's my whole back pedal, man. I should go first on my back pedal.
On that note, then go. Backpedal for us,
Yeah.
Matt.
Put a lot of miles on the scooter. A lot of miles. Got testing a lot of bike computers on the scooter, testing a lot of bike lights and things like that, and no swimming, no biking, really, no running. So back pedal can be pretty fast.
Scooter-tastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Are you sleeping good at least, Matt?
I did get the cast off and put a boot on, so making progress.
That's good.
That is good.
Cool. Mr. Hepler,
Yes.
you have a bike race coming up this week.
Oh, there is a bike race coming up that
But
I have zero expectations for.
Wait, is that this weekend or next? Isn't there there's two gravel races next weekend, right?
There is, but this weekend there is the Gorge Gravel Grinder.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Out in the
Is that part
Dalles.
of the series, the 5-race series, the Gorge Gravel Grinder?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, they have it's a 4-race series, I believe, or maybe it's 5 if they.
I was
added-
just talking with the guy van today about. I think it's 5.
Yeah, they might.
think.
They may have added that other Ochoco one near the end, but yeah, the Gorge Gravel race is coming up this weekend, so I have been not training for that.
That's good. That's a good way to go into a gravel race, is non-specifically.
And no races this past weekend, so what you been up to?
We've been having second winter here in the Pacific Northwest.
Second winter or third winter?
This has sucked.
I don't know.
It's a world of suck here.
It's been weird. Spending a couple weeks in Arizona was very bad for my psyche because it was so fantastic there. And then I come back here, and I guess this is happening pretty much across the whole nation, except in the South or in the Southwest. Everywhere else has been kind of sucky weather.
Yeah.
So, I've actually been Zwifting a bit here and there and doing some workouts there. I've gotten out a couple of times and ridden my gravel bike and ridden my road bike a couple of times, but it has the weather just like torpedoed my motivation.
It's also been very windy. It's one thing when it's just like raining. Where it's like, okay, cool, just go. It's raining, but like there's like hail and wind, and it is
It's not our normal winter. Normal winters are just cold, and you know what you're going to get. You know you're going to have little breaks in the day, and it's just very consistent. This time of year, it's like extremes. Like, you want hail? Okay, extreme hail.
Yeah.
You want some snow? Extreme snow.
This is exactly how the weather was in Ohio, and this is the first year since I moved here. I was like, wow, this is really giving me Ohio flashbacks. Where April would hit, and it'd be like, oh, you want a foot of snow? Here you go. And then next day it's like 75, beautiful. And then all of a sudden there's a hailstorm.
I mean, did you guys get the weather alert for today?
No. Oh, yeah, extreme winds, right?
Extreme winds.
Like 60 miles an hour?
Half-inch size hail. The possibility, not a 0% chance, but there's a possibility of a tornado.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yep.
like-
Why
it's a
not?
fantastic
Why not? Just toss it in. How about an earthquake? Let's just go and throw that in there too.
Bring it.
So I've been riding a little bit, and I actually don't feel that bad, but I do not feel fit and fast. Let's just leave it at that.
Ouch.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Just you get a little injection of some racing, and there you go.
Yeah.
You're going in tapered at least.
Yeah, I'll be good and tapered. And actually, if the weather sucks for the Gorge Gravel Rounder, I might not even roll up. But
What is the forecast for
it
this
actually
weekend?
doesn't look too bad.
This weekend doesn't look terrible. Yeah.
The race is on Sunday, and the weather it actually looks like it'll be in the 60s.
Oh, that'd be nice.
On Sunday, and dry for Saturday, so it may dry out there. But I don't know what the wind forecast looks like. It actually doesn't look too bad. So we'll just
cool.
have to
Hopefully
see
it works
what
out well for you.
Yeah.
Evan Price, we haven't spoken to you since you did your half Ironman down in
Yeah.
Oceanside. You want to
Yeah.
backpedal that and some other stuff you've been up to?
I can give a good Spark Notes version of that race. Yeah, it was that was now 2 weeks ago, I believe, 3 weeks ago.
Sure.
Two or 3 weeks ago, I think, in the vacuum of time here. But yeah, it has been an interesting last few weeks. Right before Oceanside, I ended my time at Proactive Physical Therapy, which I've told some people about, and then on social media, and have patients of mine switching over with me. But going into this next week, I am starting independent contracting as a PT at Evolution Healthcare, which is, thank you. Which has definitely been, to be honest, like a dream job switch. This place is absolutely awesome. I think a lot of the endurance sports community knows about Evolution
You
here.
first told me about it, and I knew of them. I didn't really know everything about them. And then I'm obviously going to do a little bit of looking up on them. Checked out their website. I was like, oh my gosh, this place.
Altitude room, climbing walls. I mean, the guy who owns it is very, very cool. His name is Brad Ferrari. He's a sports chiropractor. And is just he himself is a mountaineer, like a mountain athlete.
Yeah.
Like the guy, I've had to learn what this truly is over the last few years. As my little brother's gotten into climbing a lot, but he goes on crazy adventures through mountains. Is just climbing, hiking, like all of that through like really, really cool areas through Canada. So the group there is amazing. It's a lot of very endurance sports driven people, athletes, clinicians. So it's an awesome place to be.
It would be hard to dream up something more perfect for you. So that's going to be fun to watch you grow and blossom there.
I'm pretty excited there. Yep. And it's nice being able to move time around now to be a coach, to really focus in on, I want to coach triathlon, cycling, and running, and work with the juniors team as much as I can in this.
Doing a fantastic job.
Career switch lets it happen. But in my other career, which I'm now trying to make a career in professional triathlon, I'm kind of stopped. I've talked with Cassie enough about this to know I've stopped joking about being like, oh, it's just a part-time pro triathlete. Like I'm 30 now, and I know everybody's chuckling at this, but really in your athletic life, I got like a 5-year window now before life's going to start happening and I'm going to get slow. So I need to start taking it seriously. And I think Oceanside was the first race I really locked in mentally and with my training and knew, let's give this a good college try. Like, I need to not just be the guy who's like, oh yeah, it wasn't last. Like I want to be a middle of the pack guy in the next 12 months. And it was good. The final result was, I think we had on the start list, it was like 56 guys were on the start list, or almost 60. And then a bunch of guys drop out, like always, there's injuries, stuff like that. But then even apparently there were some guys dropping out on like race morning and because of like the wave conditions out there.
So it's an ocean swim at Oceanside, California.
Yes. Beautiful city.
And,
awesome city.
And
I will be there every year from now on, definitely.
But there was surf the day of race morning.
A lot of surf. Okay. And honestly, the day before was even more surf. It was, I think we got lucky on that day. But yeah, I had to learn how to swim into waves, basically. I did not grow up on the coast. For anybody listening to this, Ohio, let me give you some American geography, is a few states in from the East Coast and many states in from the West Coast and in the middle of nowhere. So no, we do not have ocean waves there.
And flat.
And very flat. So I was lucky enough that one of the guys staying with us, Tyson Weiland, who is a very, very good swimmer and was a very good short course athlete for a good portion of his career and now is switching into 73, knows how to swim into waves very well. So the day before the race, or 2 days before the race, me, Cassie, AVT, and Tyson go out to swim, basically. And I get panicked because I'm getting my butt beat by these waves.
Swallowing
Just
seawater.
I'm like trying to go over them and just getting smacked in the face.
You don't go over them.
I know. Well,
Duck diving, buddy.
So I know. So this is somebody who didn't grow. I never surfed as a kid. Anything.
I learned how to swim in Oceanside at the beach. I mean, not swim,
At
not
Oceanside.
legitimately swim, but learned how to swim in the
Yeah,
ocean.
yeah,
So
yeah, like going
that's
to the
where I
wave.
spent all of my summers for birth to like moving out of.
And Cassie was saying the same thing. She's like, "Oh yeah, like non-swimmers know how to swim into the waves. It's just
Yeah.
you do it as a kid when you're in California." I'm like, "Well, yeah, when you go up around lakes and rivers like that, you never know like when a wave is white capping what you do into it." So Tyson gave me a cue that actually really calmed me down. He said he was like dolphin kick and dead fish. That's all he said. He was like dolphin kick and dead fish, and what that meant was you kind of do a fly kick underneath the wave. You put both hands out, head down, and just dead fish.
Yeah,
it's like the less you move, the easier it is to go through the wave.
Yep.
And all of a sudden that worked and it became fun after that. Like I went from panicking to being like, I can't even do this race tomorrow. Like I cannot swim into waves to like, oh, I can actually hang on in this. Yeah. So, we get onto race day. I'll fast forward everything. Yep. Ton of tension. I think there's like 45 guys on the start line. To give a reference, I think I finished 20. Oh God, I forget where I actually finished. I think it was 21st or second.
I think it was 21st.
21st, yeah. So I was literally, as I was saying, I want to be a mid-pack triathlete now. I was the definition of a mid-pack triathlete in this race. I think I ended up being the actual 50th percentile. But the swim start was nuts because the tide is carrying us way away from the buoy. And even the top guys it was impossible to sight because these waves surfers' waves are crashing in. So we're all going offline. It's absolute chaos. I make it to the first buoy, turn, and I'm like, okay, there's a group behind me and a group in front of me. Crap, I didn't make the group in front of me. So I'm just trying to stay steady, like off these guys by like 30 seconds for the entire swim. Hindsight, this is why I'm excited to do this race again. Is I know how to swim into these waves now, and I need to be better because that race was won and lost in the swim in the first 200 meters. It was like, who can fight into these waves and not panic was basically it. And these pro races are insane because it's you and 50 guys who are all way too competitive in this first. I mean, even though it's a long race, we know how important that first 200, 400 is. So as an age grouper, when you're told like get into your groove and like race your race, you don't get to race your race. The race is up the road if you decide to do that. So it's gone the first 200 meters. But came out. I've been swimming around 28 minutes in all my open water swims and came out almost 28 flat. So I was fine with it, ran through transition, got on my bike, hammered my first 20 minutes to get into a little 3-person group, and ended up working with a guy who is absolutely, I really respect him a lot. His name's Yu, and I'm going to butcher his last name because he's Taiwanese, Hasio, I believe. But he is a great cyclist, great runner, and a guy named Eduardo Sandi, who is also, I've raced a few times now and is a super nice guy and is an elite runner. So being in that group, I knew that the race was going to go well for me if I stuck with them. And I ended up doing a lot of the work through a good portion of it. And then you went to the front and just laid down the hammer the last like 10 miles, 15 miles. After a lot of climbs in the middle of the race, which I really liked. It was a tough bike course, which I love. And I think it really sapped the legs of a lot of the good runners. And, you put probably 30 seconds, 45 seconds into me and Eduardo coming into transition. And I come to the dismount line and long story short, eat it. Basically just straight eat it onto my knees.
You crashed on the bike coming
on the dismount line. So I'll make an excuse that doesn't matter. I mean, it's my job to not crash. Like there was one other guy I think that went down at the dismount line, and I think maybe I heard somebody say Daniela Reef might have gone down, but I could be wrong there. But it was very sandy at that line. and I was coming in very hot and did my usual flying dismount. And right before I go to fly off, the bike slips on the sand and just destroyed my knees. I mean, they are still healing to this day, like 2.5 weeks later. But, yeah, so, cruise through, transition, jump onto the run. I am bleeding down my legs at this point. So unfortunately, I was recognized after the race by a lot of people as, oh, you were the guy running with blood running down his legs. And it's always so bad when they look at you. They're like, did you finish? Oh, we're so proud of you. That's so great that you made it to the finish line. Nice job. That's good.
Good job, buddy.
It's like, wonderful. I'm now known as that guy. But it was awesome. That was the most fans I've ever seen at a race. Oceanside, the entire half marathon course had fans all around it. People who I don't think had any idea that there was a triathlon going on.
I'm guessing the run course went up and down the Ocean Boulevard, and then did it go partially up that bike path too?
Yes, it did. It did go on the bike path, and it was on Ocean Boulevard, and then you turned around and came back. And it actually had some really spicy hills. The only reason the hills were there was the ramps that go up
from the
onto
beach.
Ocean Boulevard from the beach.
Which,
trust me, I would rather just take a mile gradual hill than in 100 meters on a 20% gradient ramp.
Yep.
Because that is the easiest way to tempt a cramp more than anything. Is now climb stairs basically. So it made for a tough run course, but I still ran, on 117. I wanted to be around 115, but with how tough that course is, I've learned a lot of lessons and know kind of how to attack it next time. So
and with bleeding knees,
if I also am not losing blood actively the entire run, maybe can run a little bit faster the next time. But yeah, it was a good step forward and kind of knowing that like, all right, the next 12 months I need to keep on advancing and set a little bit better standards and goals for myself, I think. Yeah.
Well, good for you, Evan. That's not too bad of a showing.
No, it wasn't, but I'm definitely an unpolished pro triathlete, I will say. I'm slipping at dismount lines and learning to swim into waves. So
seriously, what are you going to focus on if you want to get faster, better, and try and move up into that?
That's a great, obviously my swim needs to get stronger. My main thing with my swim is I need to become a more efficient swimmer. So I'm taking the sport more seriously as a whole.
Okay.
I've actually gotten in contact with Jenny Noga, who is an old swim coach of mine who used to swim collegiately. She's one of the best swim coaches I had ever met. And I'm sending her videos every once in a while now. And we're doing talks about like, hey, what's going on? And you need to do this and this. And, just through my career shift and focusing more on coaching now, I am taking my own training a lot more seriously, like I've been coaching my athletes. So I know that I had to clear up enough time where if I want to be a competitive pro triathlete, I have to ride about 14, 15 hours a week. That's be all end all.
Wow. Yep.
You need to run that. And my running needs to stay over 50 miles. That is, I know Lance has kind of tracked this on Strava a little bit. That is the game now. And it's a much, much faster pro field than it was even 5-6 years ago.
Sure.
It's the field is skyrocketing. And if you we were talking after this race in Oceanside, you look at that top 20. In the top 20, there were, I think like 15 or 16, I forget the number, have won Ironman races. And all these guys are faster than they used to be because the training is different. The research is coming around and catching up.
Yep.
It's very, it's similar to what's happening in sport like running right now. Records are falling left and right.
The top 15 broke 4 hours.
Yeah. Wow. And that is not a fast course.
Top 15.
Not a fast course. And this is, you have to, if you want to be fast, it's funny to see, I love the old generation of triathlon, but a lot of those guys that were fast like 10 years ago now, 8 years ago, they've fallen out of the field, like completely fallen out of the field, maybe because life happened or they just didn't change how they trained. But the way that they were training 10 years ago does not suffice anymore. These guys are coming in with ITU backgrounds. They are fast. You got pro runners coming to the field, pro former cyclists. It is, if you want to stay in the field right now, it is getting very hard and you have to be able to train a lot. So that's kind of my plan for the next 4 or 5 years is to try and hang on in this field and move up it. But as Cassie was pointing out to me too, is I can do all these things. And I got to realize that also you and Eduardo, who are right around me, us three raced each other for those couple spots. They're also doing those things.
Gotcha.
So it's like, oh, I want to move into the top 20. It's like, well, yeah, now I got to beat guys that are doing all the things that I'm doing.
Right.
So, it still comes down to executing on race day.
So, this is going to be related, but hang in there for a second.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you talked to Mike Gavin this morning.
Yeah.
Has he brought up anything to you? No, maybe so. He respects you to the nth degree in terms of your athleticism, but he wants to have an intervention with you.
Oh God.
we had this kind of jokingly. It was kind of a funny thing, but I don't know. He might have something that might be worth you looking into. He wants to sit down with you and have you have a little come to Jesus moment with your diet.
With my diet, honestly,
Wait, Evan he has better food choices on the table today than he's had in a long time.
I will say I've started to make little changes. I have started to make little changes. Of everybody I've ever trained, I think that the respect with Guy Vane is very mutual. And I hope everybody that heard that podcast with him was impressed by that, because he's very like at times Mike can be very soft spoken and he'll just kind of undersell himself. That guy's commitment to what he's done is mind blowing to me. It's mind blowing. So if there's anybody I would sit down and talk diet with, it's definitely him, because there are things I need to change. I think the toughest part with triathlon, and I've even talked with other guys, me and Tyson Weiland were actually talking about this with our diets. The higher volumes of training, diet becomes so hard to stay completely clean, because especially when you're getting close to that 30-hour-a-week mark, the benefits of still eating a little bit, even if it's not fully clean, versus underfueling. Yeah. Underfueling is very dangerous in triathlon. True. Yeah, very dangerous. So dietary changes need to happen for me, but they have to happen very slowly, because if I undershoot my calorie need,
100% understand that.
That's where it gets dangerous. And this is, I'll use some examples recently. I'm not accusing them of having hit these or anything, but people like Jan Frodeno and Lucy Charles Barkley, the two world champs, shouldn't listen to my advice at all, because they're smoking me and everything. Both just came into injuries recently. Mm-hmm. They both had recent switches, big switches in their diet.
Really?
They went fully plant-based, a few of them. So that's...
Oh, how interesting.
It's not that being fully plant-based is bad in any way, or making a big shift the other way is bad. But you got to understand that if your body's used to something at that high of a level, and then you just like rewrite the entire book on it, you might run into an injury.
Yeah. I think with him, it's not like he wants to sit down and tell you what to eat, but I think he just wants to sit down and tell you like what you're eating probably isn't helping you, or you could be like this % better, faster, stronger, recovered, all that other stuff.
If me and Guy Van lived together and we just made borscht for each other all the time, I would 100% change my diet, because whatever that guy's doing is working. So
Brandy made borscht this last week.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh.
We had it at home for a couple of days. Yeah.
So everybody's want to get on the borscht train. I'd be 100% just getting on the borscht train right now.
I'm not giving you a hard time, but I think that he might have
it's something I need to look
have
into.
a little bit of something. I mean, even if you just made like a 10, 15, 20% change, I mean, I'm not saying don't come home and eat your whole bag of potato chips and Swedish fish and all that other stuff, but
I actually
maybe just cut back a little bit.
Funny thing I've had to mention on here, because I know that the Swedish fish has become the thing.
Yeah.
I don't take it in as my nutrition anymore.
Really?
No lie, I've actually gone for my quick gels, I go to these Annie's gels.
Okay.
The main reason I went to the Annie's gels was I was looking through a lot of the ingredients on there, and the type of gelatin that they use in Swedish fish is really bad for your GI system.
Oh yeah, you don't say.
And Annie's actually cut out 2 of those.
Okay.
So since I've been using Annie's, I feel great.
And what about like Rock Stars and Red Bulls and?
I have cut down my Red Bull use to only 2 key workouts a week when I'm drinking Red Bull.
Okay, good for you.
So I do a lot more.
Hepler.
I'm not trying to be a pro triathlete.
Awesome.
The chips. Oh man, the chips I'm hanging on to for a long time, because that is just
maybe just
that's just making calorie demands.
Instead of eating a whole bag, maybe just eat half bag and save the other half for later.
That's actually not a bad idea. It really is. But yes, but meat intake and dark greens have been a big focus lately.
Well, if there's anybody that's going to be a great student and is going to look at everything under a microscope and analyze it up, down, and all the way around, it's going to be you. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen to you over the next 6 months to a year if you're going to make some steps forward there.
We're going to see. That's for sure. I'm just excited that bike racing's coming back soon too.
Yay. Yeah. All right. That was a longer back pedal, but he had some stuff to say. But you know what? I'll make up for that. Since last Monday, this has been like eight days now.
You're in Texas at least.
I came back from Texas. We recorded the podcast. I've ridden one time. I rode
one time in 8 days.
Yeah. We normally do a Tuesday night gravel ride, dirt ride, and it's just like we said earlier, with the weather's been awful here, so we decided to ride online and do a workout there. And did a little Zwift workout with the team, and there was what, a dozen, 15 people somewhere. And I had a great workout, had a great ride, did well, felt strong, woke up the next morning and felt like absolute crap. And it's been a downward spiral ever since then. Finally went into the doctor this morning, and I've got a lot of things going on with me. So it's a little bronchitis, a little ear infection, a little sinus infection, and some other little minutia that came along with that. So I've got some meds that I'm going to get on, and hopefully
at least it's all stuff you can't pass on to the kids, because then it hangs around the house forever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But it just sucks because off the bike for 8 days now. And I asked the doc, I'm like, so doc, when would you think that I'm going to be okay to get back on the bike? He's like,
yeah.
So it might be another week. I don't know, but it just sucks to watch all the fitness that you had built up just slip away. It's like, au revoir.
It'll come back. It'll come back. It will. Yeah.
Hopefully it comes back with some good weather. So
that's, honestly.
Yeah.
I think I miss much outside.
Cool. Matt, are you still there? You've been kind of quiet.
Yeah, I've been quiet. I have no comment on Evan's diet. I mean, I could tell Evan that the sugary caffeinated drinks probably are not that helpful for him, but he knows that. And I always tell people, like, try not to think of like eating less crap, but try thinking of eating more good stuff, like more vegetables.
Could not agree with you more.
Because then you're at least like, it's like a mindset shift, right? Where you're like, oh, I just need to eat more. Like that's easier to do than like eat less. Like whatever, like you eat chips, that's fine. But like if you eat a big,
sweet potato or
bowl
something,
of spinach beforehand, you're probably not going to be like super likely to finish the bag of chips.
You're 100% right, Matt. That was actually more the mindset I was taking into these switches anyway, which I agree with you. I think is a healthier outlook on it.
But you said like dark leafy greens, and I don't think eating meat is bad. I mean, other than the fact that Lance, might be rolling over, and
I have no judgment. There's no judgment coming from me.
I see some judgment in your eyes.
Oh, trust me, my own mother's
that's pure evil hate, is what that is.
My own mother's been plant-based for the last few years, and I know whenever we have this conversation, I try to talk her out of it, but.
I'm pretty sure Bambi's mom was like blinking her eyes at Lance when we were talking about eating more meat.
It's good red meat.
Matt and I spent a lovely afternoon in Oceanside together, riding our bikes around
I did know that.
on the run course for the most part. So
yeah, we were previewing the course for you, and we were like, Evan's going to bleed here. His knee's going to bleed here.
Well, thanks for that course preview, guys. Why didn't you tell me that right at the start? Don't fall, because then I would have not fallen.
We should have done that.
Yeah, that would be
worst way to start your run. Fall immediately.
Awesome. All right, let's move on. We don't have a Patreon drawing this week. You want to know why? Because we're doing Patreon drawing next week. Come back next week and listen.
We're not at the lab right now.
Yeah, we're not at the lab. We're recording remotely. It's kind of nostalgic. It's back in the old office. The guys were nice enough to come to my house because I was trying to keep myself away from people. But I don't think I'm contagious, or at least that's what the doctor said. But it's one of those things where I need to get some rest. But anyway, they came to the house, and we just don't have that stuff with us today. I was going to try and plan on doing that this week, but we are going to kick it to next week. So come on back for a nice Patreon drawing. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon, go to dialpodcast.com. Check it out there. Got some options for you. All right. Is that guy here? Do you see him? Did he come to the house too?
Champ Bailey.
It's good thing we have the soundboard.
He's in the top 5 discussion. I mean, I'm not going to go out crazy. Hall of Famer.
Champ Bailey, what's up, dude?
Champ is here in Jake's house, in the office of Jake's house.
The Rady Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, there are a couple races to talk about. Some fun stuff happened. I think one of the funnest and coolest spring classic monuments to watch, Paris-Roubaix, happened this last weekend.
Yeah, it's as good as it gets.
Yeah,
it's absolutely as good as it gets.
There's like 5 monument races, and to be a monument, it's like they're long races that have been held for like more than 100 years or something ridiculous.
I think a few of them have been. Has Paris-Roubaix been run since the 1800s?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it was like
1890 something.
Yeah, like 95.
It was like the 115th rendition of it.
It's crazy to think about how many years that has been going.
Paris-Roubaix is one of the races where they don't avoid the nastiest of the cobble sections. They go for those nastiest cobble sections. So a lot of other spring classics may have cobble sections in it, but this one actually... it's harder on the body.
Well, these roads have been around forever, and they maintain some of them for this race. I mean, they've specifically not removed a lot of these cobbled areas because the race runs over them. So like Like, I don't think the Forest of Arenberg has any other purpose outside of this race.
Correct. That's right. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
They keep...
And the cobbles are insane. Like, who would ever drive their car over that?
They don't.
You would destroy your suspension.
It's pretty crazy. So, but the race was very exciting. Great thing this year, there was a women's version the day before and the men's version on Sunday. Kind of an unexpected winner that came out was the Ineos rider,
Van Barle.
Van Barle.
Yeah.
Dylan Van Barle.
He was there to support, wasn't he? And he just, I don't know, all the stars aligned and he went for it.
I think within the Ineos camp, they knew that he was going to be a contender, but the guy has been a support rider for his career.
A long time.
Yeah. Phil Guyman in 2016 called this, by the way. Did anybody see Phil Guyman's post on that?
No.
Phil Guyman had a post in 2016 talking about Van Barle, saying like, hey, this guy's just going to keep on moving up the field in Paris-Roubaix, and I guarantee he's going to win it this one year. And that's like that's like saying like, oh, like, well, wow, Van Aert's going to win it one year. It's like, cool, that's a neat prediction. But like, this would be like picking a random domestique and saying like, hey, this guy's going to win it.
So that was very exciting to watch. He actually made a move with, I don't know, what was it, 15K to go? Or
it was a ways out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a ways out where it wasn't really the plan. It was like he saw an opportunity and just did it and managed to hold off the group that were kind of drilling him down, which included Wout van Aert and Matthew van der Poel.
The watts and the speed that he was holding, not only for the whole race, but just the end was insane.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up winning by like, what, a minute 45 or something like that, or minute 47?
Minute 47. He won by a minute 47.
He was very consistent over that last
Insane.
bit. It really
Especially
was.
over those cobbles, too. I mean, just getting beat up and bounced around and holding that speed and those watts.
Good on Wout, too, for Wout won the sprint for second.
He ended up second.
Not bad coming off of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. I mean, he out-dueled MVP. MVP had to try to bridge that group and wasn't able to bridge.
MVP like missed one move with like 5K to go.
On the pavement.
Yeah.
On the pavement, too. They roll Wout attack. I think it was Wout attacked.
I don't know. Or Stefan Kuhn.
Oh, it might have been. No. Wout attacked and then Kuhn bridged up to him, and MVP I think missed Kuhn. He did not latch on in time, and
he said afterwards that he just didn't have the legs that day.
Yeah. I think every move that comes in the last 20K Paris-Roubaix, it's not like those guys are like, oh, I'm going to let this one go. It's just like, I cannot at this moment follow
and
that.
For those who don't know how long the race is, it's like 250 kilometers or whatever. It's like 160 miles. Yeah. That's a long day on the bike.
So, I mean, some of these last cobble sections are insanely hard. My buddy, Kit, who we've had on the show before, has ridden on the Belgian cobbles before. And he said, he's like, you can't even understand watching it how insanely hard it is just to keep a bike upright.
Yeah, I mean, riding it on a mountain bike with some big cushy tires and some suspension is still going to bounce you around.
Yeah.
Now you're on a road bike with a tire that's like, semi-hard.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's crazy. It was interesting to watch a lot of the like classic cobble sections. They've built like pathways on either side of the cobbles so that
they block them off.
And they have to block them off for the race so that the riders don't actually ride on this nice tarmac, 4 foot wide path that are right next to the cobbles. Because I'm guessing they built those for people to ride their bikes out there.
Yeah.
But that actually ended up causing one of the
quick step riders to
the
crash.
quick step riders crash.
God, yeah. That was terrible.
Yeah, there were fans lining most of the course, also great to see.
Yeah.
But there was a fan that was standing on that smooth tarmac section where the riders weren't supposed to be riding, and they have these barriers like set every 30 meters or something like that on that tarmac so that the riders wouldn't ride on the tarmac. And the quick step rider was like weaving in and out. A lot of them were.
Yep.
Hopping on the nice smooth tarmac and then back onto the cobble to miss the barrier and then back onto the smooth tarmac. And so they're hopping in and out. That's exactly what I would do. And in one of those hops, the fan had his hands out, didn't expect it. He drilled him and he
took him down hard.
He took him down pretty hard.
There was that was one of the more brutal crashes I think you'll ever see in a bike race. That was tough to watch because he almost saved it, but you're never going to save it on the cobbles. So
Lampert is who it was.
Yeah.
Lampert is who it was. He still ended up 10th.
Great rider. I mean, he was having a great day. I forget who was with him at that time. Oh, it was Mohoric. So early in the race before Van Barle goes, really, if you're watching that race, the most dangerous guy in the race was Mohoric again. And I mean, he is no joke. Like that guy just continues to put out results that show that he's going to be one of the best one-day riders, period, here pretty soon. And he is, I mean, so strong.
He's good.
He was in a long break at Perry. I forget when that break actually started, but he was in a break for a long way, latched onto the attacks, worked with guys, was just stayed in the race the whole time. And I think ended up, I know he was top 10. I forget where Mohoric ended up.
He was in that second group with Wout van Aert, but he ended up fifth.
Gotcha. Yeah. He's not a wonderful sprinter. I mean, he's not going to like finish off stuff, but that guy's dangerous from like 20K out. You let him go, he's gone.
The other crazy thing, the video that came out of Wout van Aert's wheel tacoing his rear wheel,
just complete and utter failure.
It just
his
rear wheel just collapsed on him on one of the cobble sections. I guess that he had flatted and he was riding his rear wheel flat for as long as he could until his team car could get to him to swap with him, and that beating on that rim finally just
took a teammate's bike and took off from there. It was a quick transition, but it was still crazy to see that wheel just fail. It was just like tacoed in half.
Yeah, it tacoed in half, which was also pretty crazy. Which,
oh my gosh.
Still not as bad as seeing George Hincapie's stem snap off in the middle of the race. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was that like 10 years ago or something. His stem snapped and he went over the
bonkers.
Yeah. Anyway.
Terrible.
Paris-Roubaix was great. There was another race this morning because we are recording this on Wednesday. When you will hear it, La Flèche Wallonne happened this morning.
Yep.
And old man, what's his name? Almost won it.
Nibali?
No, Valverde.
Oh, Valverde.
Yeah.
He got.
Oh my gosh.
He got out sprinted at the line, I believe. I haven't seen the clips, but I just
He's
saw
had a great start to his season. Anybody been watching like the early season stuff? Valverde's been in a lot of moves and looking great.
41.
He's 41.
41.
Oh yeah, no, he's 81, guys.
He's 80. Yes, he is.
He's older than all of us combined if you combine all of our ages, and faster.
Is he still on Movistar?
He is.
Okay.
He's still
He's
with
been on
Movistar. He
Movistar
got
forever.
out sprinted by Dylan Toons from Bahrain.
Oh, hey, you know what is he, half his age? I think Toons is.
think so. And Alaphilippe was right there too.
I was going to say Alaphilippe was a favorite going into that race.
Yeah. So Dylan Toons ended up out sprinting Valverde by just a few meters. So pretty crazy.
Is that the same Toons, the cross racer?
Yeah. No, that's
different guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's different Toons. This is Dylan Toons, not Toon Arts.
Oh, Toon Arts. Sorry.
Yeah.
Combining
Dylan Toons and Wout van Aert into one cyclocross road guy.
There you go. Crazy.
But other than that, I don't have any other race results to talk about. Champ out.
That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot.
Guess what, guys?
That's hot. That's hot. That's hot.
Parasol.
That's the hot seat.
That is the hot seat.
It's the hot seat, guys. Let's do the hot seat this week.
Oh no.
Matt, how you doing?
Good.
You want to start us off this week?
Yes. Easy softball question for you guys.
Bring it.
Do you guys ever foresee yourself like using a smartphone device and scrapping like a dedicated bike computer? For example, I mean, phones are getting better. Battery life is getting better. There's a lot of things that we may want like connectivity to from that particular phone. A lot of the connected bike device pieces, of power meters, heart rate monitors are going Bluetooth, meaning that that's all somewhat capable of connecting to your hardware. And then the rest of it is just software, which you guys know can be quite capable on these smartphones.
Can I start?
Yeah.
No.
Go.
Short answer, no. It's too big.
That's exactly what I would say. It's not something I want on my handlebar.
Yeah. Plus, I mean,
your Wahoo Roam was big.
Not near. It's half the size of my iPhone.
True.
But the other thing is
probably not. Weight wise, is probably similar.
Well, don't try to talk sense to us.
Maybe.
Just the physical form factor, like the actual real estate of the screen. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, there could be some applications where if I want to, have more information and be able to see more stuff, but I don't want to be that distracted, and I don't want to have that much real estate, and I don't want to have the computer or the phone break if I should have some sort of an accident on the bike. Because replacing a $200-$400 bike computer is a lot less expensive than a $1,000 phone.
I've got no for a different reason. My phone just
you don't know how to use your phone. That's what it is.
That too. It scares me.
Still using a Nokia flip phone.
I'm staying with the cat eye computer for as long as possible. But my phone just got wet recently, and the SIM card died on me. So like,
Really?
how do we? I mean, if I go outside and it's like a little bit of rain, I know that there's like covers I can put on the phone and stuff, but like that's cumbersome to put on like a waterproof cover every single time I want to go outside with the phone. And also, it's like the phones are very valuable. I don't want the thing to break. Like if I crash, like that phone's toast. Like it's gonna crack and break. And I'd rather have a bike computer that's a little more robust, maybe, and less likely to die as soon as I crash.
I will say this: the three of us, this is a very elitist thing for us to say because there are a lot of cyclists who just use their cell phone for a bike computer. But I cannot recall a single time I've seen somebody.
I think watches
at a
are great
race.
for bike computers too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But I've never seen somebody at a race with their phone strapped to their handlebar. So again, that makes, but we're elitist jackhole racers. So,
Yeah, you're snob.
Yeah,
You're snob.
so we're bike
Yeah.
snobs.
No, and I've even done races with no bike computer, which I think is great. I'd rather see somebody with no bike computer than strap their iPhone onto the front of their frame.
That's true.
I mean, I can see some plus side. What would be some plus side? What would you like about having your phone there as your computer? I mean, are you
bigger screen? Maybe easier directions. That's not true anymore with these bike computers.
Having that quick connectivity to the internet is important. Like a lot. I mean, you guys think about this. You go for, let's say, Lance, that you go for like a 60, 80 mile ride. You're going to pull out your phone a couple of times.
Yes, I pull it out to take pictures all the time.
Yeah. But and then if you really want to do mapping, I bet, like if you're really lost, I bet you pull your phone out.
Yeah. That happens.
Definitely.
That happens a couple times a month where I'm so far. I don't have a route downloaded. I'm just out like cruising the countryside. It's usually not when I'm here in town, but I'll pull my phone out to say, where the heck am I? And how do I get back? And I'll type something into Google Maps and then hit the little bike icon to see which is the best way to get back. Yeah. So I will do that. Yeah.
How about you, Matt? What's your answer to that question?
So the way I phrased the question was like, could you ever foresee this happening in the future? And I think, sure, like I am loyal to nothing, if the software is better on the mobile phone and they have a good mounting system and, if it makes more sense for me to use my phone, I will absolutely jump ship. I don't have, some sort of like Garmin tattoo on my butt cheek, but I have been thinking about it. But, I could see like that, mobile
you have to
software.
Prove that, Matt.
What's that?
You have to prove that.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry, Lance. Don't you worry. But I'm just thinking like with all the new technology that's going to come down the wire with like heads-up display systems and things like that, I could see the, some sort of like feature that we haven't thought of yet coming to a mobile phone first and it taking a long time for bike computers to catch up in the like 2-3 year time frame. Whereas mobile phones are like, every month there's some new phone coming out with some super ridiculous screen and fantastic cameras. And I could just see all of that being integrated into some sort of bike computer system and it just being a home run and all of us like changing our mind and being like, yeah, of course, it's better. So we're going to do it.
Now you bring up an interesting point in that the heads-up display could be something that could definitely, at least I think so. I think it could definitely basically disrupt the whole bike computer industry, like making them obsolete. If you've got a heads-up display that works with your glasses, that's not cumbersome, like the Garmin thing that came out, was it the Insight maybe, or something, that whatever they called that thing, it just looks goofy in my opinion. It's a little too big, whatever. But if you come up with something that you really can't see it, and it's in your glasses, and you can see all of the metrics that you need to see, and it's paired with your phone,
that is a good point.
That would be fantastic. I would definitely use that because then you're not looking down at your bike computer and pulling a Chris Froome.
It could give you like verbal directions too, which would be
correct.
So nice.
Yeah. So that could be interesting. I
have a blinky light that comes on in your glasses. Turn right.
Turn right.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's a interesting question. You guys.
This sounds like a lot of tech, Matt. I don't know about this.
Hot seat price.
So much tech.
Price.
I don't know.
Way too much tech.
I don't know.
Awesome. All right, Hepler.
Yes.
You're next, buddy. Go.
Okay. This question is kind of it's inspired by the suck weather we're having here in the Northwest right now. What is one of your like cycling destinations, like a place you would just love to go spend a week cycling. It could be anywhere in the world. Have you thought about this? Was also inspired by what I was watching on the ride last night.
Wow.
Girona.
Okay.
I'd love to do a week-long training camp in Girona, swim, run, and bike. Yeah, definitely.
Gosh, anywhere, probably Italy or France, or I don't know, just anywhere over in Europe. I would love to spend some time over there and just kind of ride some of the classics. Yeah. I think that would be fantastic.
And ride some of the great climbs,
yes.
The ones in the Alps or over in the Pyrenees,
yep.
or any of those places. That
I mean,
would be cool.
You fall in love with it when you watch it on the tour or any of the big races that you watch, and you see how beautiful it is. And I have to imagine that the TV cameras can't do justice,
right?
Like how beautiful it is there. I'd love to be able to go see there, and I would want to go do it at a leisurely pace, though. I wouldn't want to necessarily try and go out and race it or try and set any kind of PRs. I'm not going to set any PRs because I've never done it before, but you know what I'm saying. I'd be able to like really soak it in and like, you know, capture some video, take camera, just experience it and go out there and have fun. That would be utterly fantastic.
So we got 2 votes for Europe. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I agree with the Europe vote. As long as you're doing that particular stuff in the summertime when the weather is nice, because you start to do some of those big climbs and you get up pretty high and you're going to run into crazy weather, right? Like, what do they always say? Like you're climbing the mountains, like you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes and it'll change.
Right.
I think that, yeah, when you do those stuff, like, one of the things that I thought would always be really interesting is, they have a lot of these basically like guided tours where you basically ride the tour course, but you ride it like the week before the tour. And I just think that kind of stuff would be super fun. It's something I could see doing like with my wife, potentially drinking way too much good wine and just like making more of a vacation out of it. Right.
Absolutely.
That could be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could combine like an Alp climb with, you know, this would be the one time too, I would 100% just like rent an e-bike.
That'd be pretty fun.
I'd be like, I want to do like 100-mile ride, but I also want to drink wine the night before. So I would like an extra 200 watts on these climbs, please.
How about same question, but here in the States?
Yeah, that's a good one.
How about you, Lance? You're the world traveler. You've been all over the place riding your bike.
Is
there anywhere that you want to go to? Or 2 questions. Anywhere that you want to go and anywhere that you want to go back to?
The Yosemite Valley, there are several climbs around Yosemite that I would have liked to have done on my bike. I rode through the Yosemite Valley and like through the tunnel, which is also just phenomenal places. But there's climbs like up to Inspiration Point or Taft Point that I would have liked to have done on my bike. That's a place I'd like to go back to. There's rides in Utah that I would absolutely want to go back. But the thing is, I've done a lot of them.
Yeah.
I haven't ridden in the Northeast.
How much riding in Colorado have you done? I feel like you haven't done.
I have not done a ton in Colorado either. No.
I feel like that's like from the area you've been in, like you've done almost like as much of Utah as you can. I feel like there's a lot in Colorado you would love. Just because I spent some time around there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Colorado's 10 hours further.
That's true. Yeah.
East.
I always forget how big these states are in the West. Like, oh, just right next to it. 12 hours down the road. Yeah.
So that's why I've only been through Colorado a couple times, but.
I don't know. For me, I think it's just, I would love to, we're from the West Coast, we're in the Pacific Northwest, and I think that the riding out here from, like, say, Colorado West, I think is probably a little bit better than most places in the country on the whole, would you say?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's some areas in Appalachia that are really beautiful. Blue Ridge Parkway, I still think is one of the most beautiful areas in America.
How's the weather, though?
Yeah.
Is it?
Like you would need to be spring or summer there,
Yeah.
but
Summer's
it's like
humid.
Yeah,
that's
it's like Tennessee, North Carolina area. So
that could be beautiful too. But I just think anywhere
Northeast is really nice.
The Western states, and just give me a gravel bike and let me go play.
Yeah,
I don't like to ride on the road. That would be fun and all, but I want to go see things, and I think that I'm going to see better things if I'm on my gravel bike and just go explore.
Yeah.
Well, some of the best rides in the country, the Crater Lake Rim,
Yeah.
the Columbia River Gorge,
Yep.
Yeah.
the
People travel for these.
Windy Ridge in the Olympic Peninsula.
Windy Ridge is still the best one that I've done in this region. I would say just like pure, just memories wise and views wise.
Yeah.
It's like, that was pretty close to.
Or Rainier National Park.
Yeah, I'm going there soon.
Or there's phenomenal
There's
rides here in the Northwest.
a lot of it here. Yep.
But I will say the one that I'm going to report back on that I think might be, this is just from after watching Vegan Cyclists do it, is when we do Telluride in July. That I'm pretty sure, that 100 and however many miles around Telluride has got to be one of the best ones in the country.
There's stuff all over
It's
Colorado.
it's pretty
that's just
isolated out
phenomenal.
there too. So it's one of those ones where obviously you can take a road bike out to it. But
Cool.
The reason I brought this topic up, I was doing my workout yesterday on Zwift, and I tend to watch like, do you guys have the GCN Plus app? Do you watch stuff on GCN Plus?
No.
I try to.
They have a series of like documentaries called Cycling Heartlands, where they'll do like an hour-long little documentary on certain spots, these cycling hotbeds. They did one on Girona, so you get to see all these very cool
Oh, I need to watch that one.
rides in Girona and who's there and what the city's like and whatnot. They did one in London. They did one in LA. They did one in Melbourne, Australia. But the one I watched yesterday, it just came out. It was about Majorca. So Majorca is an island in off the coast of Spain.
Yeah.
And so the weather is always great. Oh my gosh, the climbs there, there's not that many cars, the infrastructure.
Didn't Ian Gibson go there?
He has
like
been
a couple
there.
couple summers ago.
That's a hotbed right now for pro triathletes in Europe.
Lots of pros
that's,
spend
that's become like the
time
place
there.
for the pro triathletes.
There's good swimming there. There's
Yes.
it's all around. They have some track stuff too, so it's good.
And it's not like going all the way to like the Canary Islands. It's not that far
Right.
away. It's just a hop over from Barcelona or whatever it is. So it's easier to get to. But Mallorca just looked kind of amazing. I mean,
Dial training camp in Mallorca.
I kind of
There we go.
I was drooling a little bit watching it, going, "Oh man, I
want to hop on a plane.
I want to go to Mallorca."
I don't think you can drive the van there, but you might need a flight.
So that's kind of what prompted my thing.
That's a good one, Lance. I like that. I definitely like getting out of the mindset of the winter number 47 that we're having here right now. Evan, you're up, bud.
All right, I'll give a more boring hot seat question. If you have a hard ride coming up, let's say it's going to be a workout day that's going to be north of 3 hours for you, what is your favorite morning meal around an hour or two before, drink included? Lance, you have to say which energy drink flavor you're going to choose to on the drive over to this ride.
I'm an oatmeal guy. So
Oatmeal? Okay.
I always, and it's usually not an hour beforehand. It's usually like 2 hours beforehand for me.
Gotcha.
I try to do 2
I'm the
hours
same, 2
beforehand.
hours. Yep.
But I usually use oatmeal with brown sugar and like some kind of like nuts and dried fruit on top of it. So there's even more protein and whatnot in there.
Yep.
I usually do 2 servings of it. So I eat quite a bit of it if I've got a big ride or race coming on. So I do that. I do wash it down with the 0-calorie Monster Energy drink.
Why 0 calorie? You need more calories. Is it the flavor, or do you just like the flavor of the 0 calorie?
Flavor, and I don't want my calories coming from straight sugar that's just going to burn off quickly. So that's 2 hours beforehand.
Yeah.
A half hour, 45 minutes beforehand, I will actually eat a bar or 2 or gels.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that
Get
I'm
some carbs in the system
topping
right away.
off my, glycogen.
There you go.
So
yeah,
that's what I eat.
For me, it's like Lance. I'm an oatmeal guy. I don't put the sugars in there, though. I usually put just Costco has this nut butter. It's not peanut butter, but it's all the other nuts that they blend up, and that's really good. I use that on a lot of stuff. So I'll put that in there. I'll throw in some blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, whatever I've got in there, strawberries sometimes. And I'll have that. And I really like a piece of, sourdough bread with some.
Yeah, we do sourdough. Yeah.
And there's this butter that we use. It's like a vegan butter that's really good. Earth Balance, I think it is. And so I like that.
Yep.
And then it just depends on what I'm doing that day and how long and hard the ride's going to be. Sometimes, a banana will get tossed into the mix like a little bit closer to the ride, and then coffee. And I'll drink plenty of water, and then my Rocket Red too. And that's why I'm always
taking Rocket Red,
going to the bathroom way too many times before the start of the
that's
ride.
a ton of fluids right there. Yeah.
It's not uncommon for me. Like, let's say I've got to leave here at like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning for a ride. It's not uncommon for me to get up 2 hours before that just to start the eating and the hydration and all that other stuff. But before I get to the ride, it's not uncommon for me to have had 50, 60, 70 ounces of fluid put into me. And I'm peeing a lot, but it's, you got to stay hydrated, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a good chunk of that is coffee though. So how about you, Matt?
I also love like oatmeal, like overnight oats. And I keep it pretty plain. And then the other thing that I tend to find myself going for is like super plain stuff, bagel toasted with butter And I've been avoiding a lot of energy drink type stuff for a while now. So even like Rocket Red, that kind of stuff, I haven't been doing any of the pre-workout meals probably for a couple years. But coffee is sadly it's something that I have a struggle with. Like I quit it sometimes, or I switch to decaf sometimes, but I find myself going back to coffee a lot.
Matt, you're kind of caffeine sensitive, though, if that's a way to put it, right? So
I am very sensitive to caffeine, and so actually, I think that plays out well when you use it. Like if you're doing, for example, Seattle to Portland style ride or whatever, a coffee at like 150 miles in is like the best buzz ever.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
This is why a lot of guys like race week sometimes will just not drink any form of caffeine until race day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because once you come off that, like,
day.
you'll feel really good when you get one in you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Definitely.
Cool.
Nice.
All right, is it my turn?
No, it's Evan needs to answer the question.
Oh, yeah. Answer your own damn question, Evan.
Oh, yeah. Oh God, it's literally the same thing every single time.
Chips,
This was
Cheetos and a Snickers bar.
This was in Matt's video. Actually, it is exactly 3 scrambled eggs with Cholula sauce, Greek seasoning, and a bagel with vegan cream cheese and honey drizzled over the top, and then a Pop-Tart.
Ooh, Pop-Tart. Huh?
with a double espresso. What?
I think people liked your video. I feel like it's been viewed maybe like 2,000 times or something.
That has to only be because of your video making. Cassie was joking with me. She's like, "That was perfect. That was exactly how boring your life is on a weekly basis." Like, anybody was like, "What's the secret?" It's like, be as boring as possible. Just be as absolutely boring as you can possibly be, and have Matt make a great video.
I love it.
Cool. All right, here's a timely one from me. You get sick, something's wrong with you, whatever. You go see the doctor. Mm-hmm. What's one thing that you would like to see the doctor prescribe to you that might help you out a little bit with your performance?
Human growth hormone.
I got prescribed some albuterol in an inhaler for my lung issues that I've got going on here.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll last for a little bit of time after I start to get better to help me get back on track with getting my fitness back. But I thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, you got anything else you could throw my way? I'm like, wink, wink. And he's like laughing. So
I've been really tired lately. Really tired.
My muscles are shrinking.
Yeah.
My libido might.
My libido's been super low, very low, and I'm tired.
That's the big thing with aging male athletes. It's not just male athletes either, but that's the big thing with with aging athletes is your testosterone levels drop naturally.
Mm-hmm.
From the age of 35 on, your testosterone levels just naturally start to drop. And so a lot of masters athletes will get prescription testosterone to help bring them back to normal levels. So, I mean, I've never done that. And I'm 52 almost.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like doing that is kind of pushing the equality issue a bit.
It's definitely going to, But
and I guarantee there's guys I'm racing against that are doing it. I guarantee it.
Oh, I can more than guarantee you.
Yeah.
I can tell you could probably name 5 right now. I'm sure.
Could.
From a health standpoint, though, does that have any kind of a detrimental effect on you long term, or is it actually beneficial to you?
It's a good question.
I mean,
they don't know. I think they don't know at this point. For one,
Matt's actually right on that. Yeah.
It's interesting because it doesn't look good from like a like let's say you want to live to 100 years old or 110, right? Like adding testosterone early on, at 50 does not look good from most of the data, like because they don't have a ton of people that have lived that long. The people that have lived that long, they tend to be doing things like calorie restriction.
Yeah.
Which is, probably kind of, it's on the opposite side of the scale of like taking testosterone and building muscle that way.
Yep.
At the same time, I do think that there's benefits to adding muscle as long as you possibly can. It's just, it's interesting that I don't think that there's a lot of evidence one way or the other of it being like super bad for you. It's going to kill you. It's going to give you cancer. I don't think there's really been any evidence of that either. I don't think that a lot of the people will say like, well, if you have cancer, this is going to make cancer grow faster. And there's just not evidence of that. And there's not evidence that it's going to be good for you either. My recommendation is probably for people to not do it because it's cheating. But it's hard to say whether it's going to be good for you or bad for you long term. I just don't think we know.
I think there's a theory currently out there which I like because I think you can take it to a bunch of different body systems. I actually think I wish that it would be allowed in certain doses because I think it can be highly beneficial for just general health for short periods of time. The problem is, like with almost anything you take externally and supplementally,
right.
It's a lot like, it's let's just compare it to HGH. It's human growth hormone. That's something that our body produces naturally. Same thing with testosterone. Anytime you supplement something in certain doses that maybe exceed what your own personal threshold should be, your body will naturally deregulate the actual production of that.
Right.
Dopamine is a good example. So
I have an anecdotal story about this. But
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, but this is a theory. Remember, like Matt said, this is all really hard stuff to research. Whenever anybody's like, "Oh, well, look at the research," it's like, no, you got to research this for like 50, 60 years in a longitudinal study of like a few thousand people and hope they all followed the guidelines, and that's like really hard research to do. So a lot of this stuff is anecdotal and theory based, but if you use, let's say, supplemental testosterone for a little too long, the theory is your body deregulates its own production of it, and then you're almost having to pay the piper after that. But I think it should be allowed, and if we research it better and have an idea, I do think aging athletes should be allowed to microdose, let's say, with testosterone. I
100% disagree.
100% disagree. That's fine, Matt. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Now, Matt, on that same note, would I take it? No, because I don't even take vitamins. So
no, you won't even. I'm like, Evan, ibuprofen, you're sore. He's like, hell no.
No, I have a very firm stance on, for me, myself, I don't take anything supplementally. Right. That's an overarching thing for me, but I would prescribe. I mean, there's other people where I'm like, no, I think that would work wonderfully for you right now. Or patients ask me, hey, should I take ibuprofen for the next 2 weeks? I'm like, yeah, take it on a correct dosage.
Right.
So yeah.
As a vegan,
I just think it's I think it's cheating. I think that if you've taken it in 2 years ago, that like, yep, that was an advantage. You shouldn't be able to race going forward. I'm very like line in the sand kind of on that stuff.
Yeah,
because you're taking something that someone else didn't have the opportunity to have. And yes, people naturally have differences, and I get that argument,
mm-hmm.
but like that's just part of the way that the sport's rules are written, and testosterone is very clearly like illegal according to all the agreements that we all sign up to when we decide to do a race. It's off the list. It's off the opportunities for us to take. Now, if you're never going to race again, and then sure, like maybe if you think it's going to be, I mean, you do you, right? I mean, like I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I don't know. It's tricky.
No,
for me personally.
It's a good hot button issue.
I could definitely see it like helping my Achilles recover, or probably there are other drugs.
HGH would be your better option, actually, Matt.
Yeah.
Sorry to get specific on their tendon healing, but yeah.
So, Matt, let me ask you this question: if you went back to your doctor and your doctor says, "Hey, I want to put you on a regimen of HGH to help you through this process, so that we can get you back to doing the thing that you know and you love,"
right?
Are you going to say, you know what, Doc, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'm a competitive athlete, and I'm going to want to come back and compete and all that other stuff, and I don't want this to be an issue? Or I
think what you do at that point is you have a long conversation with yourself or your family or your friends, and you say, I think this can help me get back to going for long runs on Sunday.
Yep.
Not like, but then I think it's one of the things where it's like, I'm not going to race again. Like you almost, and this is like a tough call, right? Like everyone's going to have to make, but I think that's the decision that you're making there. It's like, hey, yeah, doc, you either tell the doctor, hey, I'm planning on racing, 6 months from now, or a year from now, 2 years from now. And this would disqualify me from, being able to do this race. Are there any alternatives that I can take to help me recover and things like that, but that are all legal through our, sports governing body system or whatever? Or you say Federation, Sports Federation. But I think, or you say like, and this could be me, right? Like this could be my exact situation where it's like, hey, Matt, we think HGH is going to get you out there doing the thing that you love to do, which is go for the runs on those trails, going for long rides, if it's like that or not being able to do those things, then I'd be like, yeah, screw racing. Like, give me whatever it needs, I need to take to be able to get back to doing what I think is.
You would have to think the quality of life is more valuable than the capacity to go compete. I don't know.
For sure.
But the problem is you're going to get that quality of life, and you're going to get back to riding. I feel really good, and I
want to race. Well,
I want to go racing.
This is
slippery slope.
But also remember, it's that paying the piper too. So it's yes, these things are supplemental and they can help in that process. But I do think it's a careful magic pill to use. It's
so can you taper off of that stuff and have your body start to reproduce?
Yeah. And that's the question that's very hard to answer, because that is very person dependent.
Yeah,
so,
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Right. For testosterone, they typically cycle it, right? And that's the reason that they cycle it is to avoid exactly what Evan was talking about, right? So it's like you cycle it, you come on it and you come off it, you come on it, you come off it. And that way your body still knows how to produce it.
Correct.
And if you look at these guys that are, it's typically, bodybuilder type people that cycle, like they do very heavy dosage and things. They have lots of issues, I think, into their 50s or whatever it is, when their body won't produce that stuff anymore. They're basically on it for life and without.
And also remember, a lot of these testosterone related hormones and chemicals, part of this process are catabolic. So they break down a lot of tissue. Cortisone's a good example. So cortisone being a steroid is, if you've tracked enough doping and cycling, you know that they actually used cortisone to drop weight. So cortisone has a lot of effects on the system, but it does have a breakdown component to it. And that's even medically what we found when there used to be the heyday of just plug somebody with cortisone as soon as they feel pain, just drop that inflammation, stop the inflammation, as if inflammation got this really bad name for being something terrible instead of a very natural process that the body needs to go through. Is we would plug like somebody could get like 12 cortisone injections in like less than 2 months. And then we started to find like, oh crap, people are like rupturing their Achilles and like having major joint breakdown issues now. And we found, oh no, we shouldn't do this frequently. And now most of your orthopedic doctors, I'll say there are still some that slip through the cracks, will only give somebody like 2 cortisone injections in a year now. So it's, I think as we found, as we overuse a lot of these things, or look at the doping from the 90s, what they were using at that time, there's always going to be a cycle on, cycle off process. And if we're able to find that formula for somebody, I think it can be very beneficial. But I think the scary thing that we do sometimes in medicine or in coaching even is convincing people that some of these things are a pure silver bullet. Like this is going to be the be all end all for your problems. And it's like, not always. It can help. But I think we need to be careful when we give those promises, even in research.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Don't be trying to jack my inhaler, Helens. I see you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to...
Going into this Friday.
Let me see that thing, man.
The story I was going to tell...
vegan story. Let's go.
Well, no, this is a different vegan story. My vegan comment was that I take... because I'm vegan, I take B12... I take iron, I take calcium, I take several different supplements because I know I'm kind of missing it being vegan. Yep. And I also take vitamin D because I live in the
D3.
Northwest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think every human being in the Pacific Northwest is prescribed D3. Yeah. It's like, oh, you live here, take D3.
No, this is about testosterone. Actually, people may not know this. My father is in his mid 80s. He's like 85, and I learned this recently. I'm probably going to air some dirty laundry. So if any of my family are listening, sorry.
Your father was doping.
My father. Well, I just learned recently, in the last couple of years, my father was on testosterone replacement for like 15 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
on like high doses of testosterone replacement that he had been he'd been taking just to help improve his life. He wasn't an athlete really at all. He was, doing all this stuff for personal things, but the guy who was helping him dose with the testosterone suddenly died. His
oh wow.
Yeah, he had a doctor who was helping him, and the doctor just suddenly died, and so his source just like disappeared. My dad's cognitive development and awareness when that happened tanked.
Wow. So he just kind of stopped taking it cold turkey, huh?
He stopped taking it and tried to find on his own a way to replace what he was missing. So not thinking very clearly, he got all this crap that you would just buy off the back page of a magazine, right?
That has zero testing,
Right.
zero testing for it, and
Right.
you have no idea what you're taking with
And
that
so
crap.
none of it worked, and his cognitive level just kind of tanked, and he's still struggling with that stuff. So I think he's had a lot of issues in the last 5 years, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he was on testosterone therapy for a number of years, and then it just stopped.
And so, like, your standard practitioner is going to say, "Sorry, sir, can't help you with that."
Yes, no.
Well, these are this stuff is like messing, and this is where I really feel bad for your dad's generation. And I know when me and Cassie talk about our parents, it's a lot of what we know with hormonal replacement is from what went wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, really. And this is, like that cortisone story I was just telling. That's because we had like 10, 15 years of research.
Right.
Of these things we thought were like, oh, this is awesome. This decreases inflammation. Or with your father, if I'm a doctor, I'm like, hey, this last year he told me he's doing great.
He was
more
doing
and more.
great.
Let's keep on doing it more and more, and not realizing what these silver bullets or these, and I'll call them easy fixes.
Yeah.
What they do long term. And this is never the patient's fault. This is it the medical provider's fault? To me, yeah, it kind of is, because we need to be more careful when we look at this stuff and realize that if this is something that we don't have good long-term research on, we need to be careful.
Well, you just don't know what you don't know, right?
I know. Well, and also,
if the research isn't there, or the research that you're going off of is,
and also the dirty game
outdated.
of if it's reimbursed as well.
So going back to your dad, though, he's 85.
He's 85.
And his quality of life has slipped because he came off of this stuff and he's been struggling.
We think it's partially due to this.
Okay.
His cognitive ability has just tanked.
Would it not be appropriate then to have a medical practitioner say, I see it, I get it, I understand where you're at in your age, let's get you back on something so we can at least have you see if that's going to get your quality of life back?
You would think, but his cognitive ability has deteriorated to the fact that he won't agree to see doctors about this type of thing.
Oh, no.
You'd also have to trust his ability to dose himself, too, which would be difficult. Yeah.
He won't agree to go to these people or to see if they can figure that out, or won't trust certain doctors.
That's rough.
Yeah. So it's this hole that we can't
chase your tail.
He just
that's tough.
It's not like, and we don't have like guardianship, over him, because he has moments of clarity good enough that he
can't go over and feed him some Scooby snacks and say, "Here, Dad, bought you something.
Just put it in cheese."
Exactly. So it's been complicated.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's sad, because I know a lot of stories like that in that generation.
Well, and I just share that because, we think that it has to do with testosterone replacement therapy and just it kind of running amok, and then him trying to do it himself because he lost his guy.
The endocrine system is not something to mess with lightly. I think that we're realizing, if there was one revelation from this medical era, it's that the human hormonal system, the endocrine system, is incredibly complex and amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible. It's what drives everything. But we, like all things with human, we try to play God on everything and think like, oh, science, we could figure this out and know the answers. And we don't know the answers until sometimes we think we know an answer 20 years after we should have known the answer. So yeah, it's sad stuff to watch happen.
Let me clarify. All his issues could just be from, early onset dementia or Alzheimer's. It could be completely unrelated,
which we also don't fully understand. So,
no.
That's talk about something else we don't get.
It
at all.
coincided with
there's a lot of correlations.
Yeah, there's a lot of correlations. So we kind of assume that it might have something to do with it. So
yeah.
Well, hopefully that gets sorted out.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Don't dope, folks.
I think that concludes the hot seat, unless anybody else has some burning question they have in their back pocket. No.
How do you get a doctor to write you up?
Just scream for a whole day and then go in and you have no voice and start coughing up stuff. And
there you go.
No, trust me, you don't want to go through this at this point.
No.
It's been rough. I rode for 501 days and was fine. I have not missed a day of work in over a decade from being sick. The only time I've missed work in the last decade is when I got hit by a car and when I broke my hip. So
it's been a rough couple. It's been a rough 10 days or
something
like that.
I've been sick and all that stuff, but you just kind of pull yourself up by. Just couldn't get out of the house, just beat up. So anyway, crappy times.
Yeah.
One last thing. Let's do the one last thing. Lance, you want to start us off?
Yeah.
You were looking into the sky like, let me think of something. Someone to pick on you.
Think about. Just planning to go do the Gorge Gravel Grinder this weekend. Last year at this race, I ended up 4th in my division behind one of my teammates, John Hatfield, and a couple other monster hitters from POA.
Yep.
So I have no illusions that I will even make the top 15 this year.
No grandiose. Yeah.
So I'm going out there with teammates and just going to kind of have fun with it.
That should be fun.
So that's the plan for me.
Nice.
Hopefully, have some good weather.
Hopefully it's not sucky, because if it's sucky, I'm just going to ride back to my van.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt LeGrand, what do you got? What's your one last thing?
I always have a video to chat about. I was thinking about bike computers because I just recently posted a bike computer video talking about the Hammerhead Karoo 2.
That was a good one, by the way.
Thank you. I think that was a pretty fun video to make. And then there's more bike computer stuff coming up in the future. Lots more, actually. There's a whole bunch of cool things coming up soon, which I'm really excited about. And then I think that the next video that I should be working on now is the shirt, Evan, that we wore. It's basically this really interesting shirt that monitors like your breathing and can tell you exactly your V1, V2, think of that as like your zones, your 5 zones. You can give a very precise wattage or heart rate or even running pace to your specific zones by wearing the shirt and doing some testing. So I'm excited about this video. I've just got to do the work to actually make it and publish it. So
cool. Hey, going back to your video that you just did on the Hammerhead
Karoo.
So you've been testing that thing for sometimes like 5 or 6 months now, and you've been using that thing a lot. It seems like every time I see you out on a ride or whatnot, you've had that on there testing it. My question to you is, now that you have the video up, you're probably going to go back to just like using whatever computer, makes you the most happy, that you like the best.
Yep.
What if you're going to go for a ride tomorrow? I know that you can't, but if you're going for a ride tomorrow, what bike computer is going to be on your bike?
A bike computer that's not out yet.
Oh.
So I can get as many.
Still testing.
Well, it's like, so this is how it goes. Like, I feel like I never get to just like ride with whatever bike computer I want to ride with. It's because I always have something looming in the back of my head. Got to have this computer tested by April, whatever, or got to have this one by May 5th, or got to have that one by June 1st, or whatever. So there's a whole bunch of computers that potentially are coming out soon. I'm excited about them. But if I couldn't take out stuff that's unannounced, I would probably stick with the Hammerhead Karoo.
Really?
2. Yeah, I do. I like it. Okay. Because that's one of the, mostly I do, whenever I ride, I'm thinking like, okay, well, I need to test this or that or whatever. And so I never really am just riding for funsies, but that computer's changing every 2 weeks. So I feel like if they announce some slight change to their climber feature, that I need to test it, or their Climb Pro feature, think of it that way.
Yeah. That climber feature is fantastic.
And I've given away a whole bunch of computers as well. So like I would say something like, the Bolt V2, but I gave that one away to some lucky commenter. I only have the Bolt version 1, which I still think is a perfectly fine device, right? And so the truth is, if I wasn't like testing something or whatever, I would just be going with something super simple. And it doesn't have to be the latest, greatest thing. If it's the Bolt version 1, I would be perfectly fine with that. That's probably the last computer that I kind of purchased without the intent of doing any sort of review of it. Just was like, this is an affordable bike computer. I don't need anything fancy. Let's just use this. And then I, of course, start testing other things and seeing what things I like. I do like the Garmin computers because they're great for mountain biking. So
that's cool. Yeah, we at the lab, so Hammerhead was recently acquired. What was it, like 5 months ago by SRAM?
Yeah.
Yep. And we work with SRAM all the time. We've been like a big supporter of theirs, and we've got a really good relationship with them. And when they were acquired, I was talking with them, and they kind of know what we got going on and how we go about our process of doing things. And excuse me, hold on one second.
Smoker.
Yeah, smoking.
Don't smoke.
They actually chose us to be one of the distributors for the Hammerhead, which they only are having like a very few limited group of people that can do that, or they're being very select about them. Like, that's kind of cool. So we actually have quite a few of them on the way. They're en route right now, and they sent me a demo unit to play with and try out. So after watching Matt's video and after talking to him and talking to other people, I've always been intrigued by that, and I want to.
I think you'll like it.
Shot, yeah.
So we'll have a bunch of those down at the lab here pretty soon.
Nice.
And really kind of interested to see how it works. So,
And Matt's video about it was actually very interesting because he says all the things he likes about it, but I think there were 4 things that were really kind of big hangups for you.
it's not perfect, I think is what it was,
and
and so they're not huge things, right? Like it is responsive. It feels very much like a mobile device, like a mobile phone device. I think that you guys would like it. There's just a couple little things like I don't love the mount. I don't, they have this little rubber stopper on the USB thing that you just are going to lose immediately. And the battery life isn't as good as what we've kind of grown to expect. You really kind of need to charge it every single time you ride. And so it's just like a couple of things that I would say, if you were to drop $400 on this device, like you want to know going into it, like, are these going to be things that are going to upset me, after having purchased it? And that's the kind of stuff I wanted to kind of post to the review, just so people are aware of, like, the few issues that it does have. It is a cool device. They are doing very cool things. I kind of think that they may be one of those companies that maybe Garmin should be most scared of in a lot of ways. Yeah. Although, who knows? Garmin's overdue for new bike computers as well, and so who knows what they're going to do, right? So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes.
I just love the fact that they're pushing innovation and they're pushing the limits in terms of like what it is that we can expect as like an end device. Like the things that we can get out of that. It's fantastic. I mean, just that climber feature alone.
Exactly.
Not having to load a route in.
Yeah.
Everybody take note. Do that. I mean, we've been talking about that for the longest time. Do that. That is freaking awesome. Yeah. So,
and I think Garmin can do it. I think Wahoo's going to struggle a little bit, but I would be surprised if Garmin doesn't do that. They just have so much data to work with.
Yeah.
And I hope that Wahoo is like one of the few companies that doesn't have any sort of real Climb Pro type feature. So they've got to be feeling a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I'm sure they see the writing on the wall, so we'll see. I mean, they did have like a little minor update. Like you can now see like some of the better information on the gradients for the rides that you're doing.
The gradients are color coded. Yeah, that's new, which is actually quite helpful.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
No.
They have to with the new Roam. I bet you they announced something. They have to do I don't know of a new Roam coming out, but they've got to be thinking like a Roam 2, just like they did the Bolt 2. And I have to guess that they've got to be thinking some sort of climber feature.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. Thanks, bud. Mm-hmm. Evan Price.
Well, I was saying this Sunday we are starting off I'll call it the multi-sport kicker for the Y Triathlon series here in the Pacific Northwest, the company that puts on all of our good triathlon races out here. It's a duathlon. It's the Spring Classic, which will be at Vancouver Lake, I believe. Is that where Transition's set up?
So.
Jake would know. I'm pretty sure it's Vancouver Lake. Yeah,
I should find this out because I have to be out there.
I'm pretty sure it's Vancouver Lake.
That's cycling support. So
that's where it was last year. Yeah. So it'll be it'll be fun. It's always fun to get out there for the first one of the year and just get to see everybody. So I will be out there, hopefully helping with some of the numbering before the race, and then I think the duathlon goes off at 11. So
you're not going to do it though, correct?
I'm going to do the duathlon. Yeah.
Oh, you are?
I'll just jump in. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I didn't think you were going to do it for some reason, but yeah, that's...
Nah, I'll always... I think that this year I always decide that any Y race I'm basically going to do, and just use them as just in a training day, basically. So
it's good for them too. Your presence, you're not going to want to say this, but your presence is a good thing to be out there and competing, and people can say, I get to race against a pro triathlete.
That's, well, hopefully if I'm tired enough, a couple of guys can be like, I actually was really close to him the entire time. He looked terrible. But why is so awesome that even a lot of the people I coach, I've been trying to convince everybody that's like, hey, I know you got your Ironman race coming up or you got this or that, but like we need to do the local racing. It's going to be a part of your training. We don't have to taper for them all the time, but there's the PDX race coming up, which is the 2 weekends before I get married. Me and Josh have joked, we're trying to recruit guys to come down for that race. Like
That's fantastic.
Like that PDX race, I'm making an A race. Like I am going out there as fit as I can possibly be for an Olympic distance and going to go and I love that race. So I hope that anybody locally who I know that Ironman does seem to be kind of like the focal point of everybody's seasons, but just make sure you're doing local racing too. Local racing's more important than this Ironman crap. Ironman's freaking garbage.
I 100% agree with that.
They're garbage.
I don't know if I would describe it exactly like that, but definitely like
they're garbage that
you
puts
should
on
be doing-
great races because I love Oceanside. That was a wonderful race, and Santa Cruz is one of my favorites. But I'm saying garbage is in like the ownership and how they operate. It's just you want to see local racing be successful. I could care less if Ironman's successful.
Well, and it's kind of like for every Ironman race you do, you should probably be doing at least 3 local races.
Yeah,
because
I agree. That's a good ratio,
I
man.
think it's a benefit to you for sure because you are getting all this experience. Like, granted, like the price is a third the price, and you get all of the experience of doing practicing transition, all the stuff you can't really do unless you're in a race situation.
Yep.
All of us we all need work on that stuff.
Exactly. Yep. So go out local race, everybody.
Yes, the Spring Classic Duathlon is at Vancouver Lake Regional Park.
Thank you. Yes, there we go.
Wow. This is the first time they've had it there. It's always been at Home Depot and along Marine Drive.
This is actually the second time, Matt, because I think they did that in 2021 too, because
last year.
Because Marine Park still wasn't allowing stuff for COVID reasons, but yeah.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. All the races are probably going to be.
Yeah,
there's homeless issues along Marine Drive.
That's actually going to be the primary reason I think with right now along Marine Drive. That's going to be tough because a lot of that race now goes through camps. So yeah.
I'm wondering if everything's going to be at Vancouver Lake again this year.
Vancouver Lake just holding up the triathlon world in the Pacific Northwest.
All right, my one last thing is the Gorge Gravel Grinder this weekend. I am signed up to do this race.
Oh God.
Now, I won't be there, but my registration will be, so I will get the credit for my registration. So,
fantastic!
Yeah, my registration is going to race too. It's going to have my number out there. So
I'm anticipating him to do quite well as well.
Yes,
So
good luck keeping up with Mr. JoJo Jr. Shabadoo.
Oh God,
he wasn't able to get into the race, so I'm going to give him my race entry. So I get all of the credit for whatever his result is. Right?
Jake's about to have a great race this weekend.
Yeah. Man, I'm so bummed to miss that. I was excited, and training was coming around. I was feeling good. The rower was working, and my fitness was feeling good. And gosh, dang it!
There's at least a gravel season coming up, so at least you got more options coming up this summer. Hopefully,
we'll see. I'm just gonna have to go back to the drawing board, but like everybody says, it'll come back around, and I'll do the work. And hopefully, it again coincides with some nicer weather coming out, and we'll get back to doing all the normal weekly stuff. And snap it back.
Just give it a second.
We need a lunch ride once this rain and hail and wind clears.
So we've been doing those
on
Wednesdays out of the lab at 12:30.
Yep.
So
all right.
Yeah, once you can get back to riding, Matt, you should come join us. It's
I'll just bring my scooter. I don't know what you're talking about.
It was maybe fun. They're just like a nice flat zone 2 ride that everybody kind of stays together and has fun. So, all right, boys. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right, this was fun. It's nostalgic. It was kind of nice to have the gang back together too.
Yeah. It's nice.
It is. It's very nice. Back in the old house. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we do appreciate
we
do appreciate everybody listening. We will be back next week with another one. Until then, bye for now.